Afternoon.
Had a chance to talk to you since yesterday. You guys released Jalen Darden. Just what was the thought process behind that? He was among the top 10 in the league in punt returns, and who will take that position now?
Well, it's tough anytime you release somebody. He's a talented player. We thought we did what was best for the team at that point in time. Hopefully he catches on somewhere else, but we're auditioning guys now like we have been, whether it's Gio, whether it's Scotty, whether it's somebody else. We've been auditioning. We'll make that decision at the end of the week.
Is the idea just trying to get more from the roster spot since all he was doing was returns or anything else?
Yeah, that was part of it. That was a big part of it. He didn't do nothing wrong physically. It wasn't because he did anything. So it was just us moving forward. It was better. He hadn't played offense in a while, and we had some returners and some guys that did a few more things.
Todd, you mentioned that the hurry up, fast tempo stuff is something you can't do throughout the entire game. You obviously, you can wear out your special teams and defense. But what is your thought about a no huddle, where you're not necessarily snapping the ball, but you're preventing the defense from substituting? Well,
we've done that. We've done that sometimes this year. So we have it in our arsenal. We've done it quite a few times. We've done it against either Carolina or Pittsburgh. We've done it against Atlanta. So we have it. It's just about certain guys being able to do certain things. We're down a tackle or so that's exposing a lot of things too. So you got to be selective in some of the things you do.
Todd, you had just 1 year with the Niners and kind of went back. Are there
Yes.
specific memories you have of being there? Obviously, it's a new stadium, and a lot of other things have changed in 30 years since.
When I played, we played at Candlestick. That was downtown San Fran, but it's a good memory. A lot of guys I'm still close with that I still talk to teammate-wise, and, it was a good area. Expensive, but it was a good area.
Now that you've started the practice week again, any update on Winfield or Edwards?
Not at this time. Didn't practice today, so again, until I see him running out there, I expect to go without him, and we'll see how the week goes.
What's your perspective on San Francisco's defense? Obviously, they're rated, number one in points allowed, yards allowed, running, stopping the run. What really stands out to you about what makes them so good?
They play hard, number one. I think D'Amico does a great job getting them ready to play hard. Chris does a great job with the D linemen. Very fundamentally sound in the secondary and that backer. They can see things and they zone off well. They do a good job punching at the football, and they can get pressure with 4 or 5 guys. I think if you can get pressure with 4 guys, that helps out your coverage immensely. I think they do a good job at all that.
Turnovers is an area you guys have just not getting enough of defensively. Is that one thing you want to see more from your team is punching the ball out, trying to strip?
Yeah, we need to do everything possible. Part of the stuff that helps that if we get some more pressure with 4-man rush. 4-man's got to get there, and we got to make plays in the secondary. But we can help our offense out a great deal if we got turnovers with the addition of them getting some more points. I think that's what's missing from this year's defense.
Going up against a quarterback that you don't have much film on, haven't seen much other than this last game, what is the key going into a game where you don't know that much about this young quarterback?
We try to go up against the scheme. They got a lot of talented players over there. They're not going to change their scheme just because somebody else is at quarterback. I think Kyle does a great job of doing things the quarterbacks are comfortable doing. They have a great knowledge of the system, and they have a wide variety of things they can do to make them feel comfortable. And he's talented to begin with, or he wouldn't be in this league. But they have a lot of talented players around them. He's going up against a great defense every day in practice, so he's not going to be nervous. He's going to play his game. We just have to play ours. It's not about the quarterback. It's about all 11 guys on offense.
Todd, Donovan had the holding penalty on what would have been a touchdown Monday night, and there's been a decent uptick in his penalties and sacks allowed. How much of a concern is that?
It's a concern. He knows he didn't play his best game. We know he didn't play his best game. He'll bounce back from it. He understands that, and we expect more from him. He expects more from himself.
How much is a hyperextended elbow hurt him?
I'm sure it's hurting him. He's not going to make that excuse, and if he's out there, we're not going to make that excuse either. We just got to play better.
Tom is great at everything, but we've seen, he's played 23 years, but he holds the record right for fourth quarter comebacks. But in those situations, what is it that makes him effective? You kind of, just in general, you've been on the other side of that, right, as a defensive, if you're trying to protect the league. Is it that, you know what you're going to get in terms of the look, right? They're going to play off. Is there certain advantages that he's able to exploit because,
I don't know if he can exploit certain advantages. His decision making, his zip on the ball, just knowing he's been in the situation a million times and he's practiced it a million times, that helps a lot too. Understanding mental weaknesses of certain guys on defense when you know certain areas have been lacking. He can see things to play before and come back to it 2 plays later when he sees somebody lacking and try to set him up. He just has a whole bunch of different nuances from playing that long that help him execute at a high level. He makes it look easy. I know it's difficult all the way around, but you can't put a finger on it. That just defines his greatness. You can't put a finger
To
on
the
it.
point that like people say, well, why don't you do that all the time? Well, you're not going to get that situation where they're trying to lay back a little bit, and there's now pressure on them, right? Because they're trying to protect the lead against.
Right, there's a lot more pressure. The game's called differently on both sides, so you don't want to get to those points, but when you get to those points, you want to be able to execute.
Todd, now that you've had a chance to thoroughly review the film, how do you think Logan Ryan held up? I don't think he came off the field defensively.
He held up fine physically. Obviously, he's still got to get a little wind underneath him. Extremely smart guy, great competitor, understands the game very well. He held up well physically.
Todd, the Rams come back, was the big pass to Cade is kind of what made things easy on that drive to kind of cut the yardage in half. Is there, looking at that last drive Monday night, obviously the touchdown of Rashad got a lot of attention. Was there another play on that drive that you'd point to that was a big play in terms of setting that up?
There were several. Scotty's play was big. Julio had a big catch on the sideline. Leonard had a run that was pretty big. There were several plays that led up to that touchdown that were huge for us.
San Francisco's been using McCaffrey a lot, catching passes. It seems more than he's running the ball. Is he becoming a better receiver out of the backfield than an actual runner?
No, he's been a great receiver out of the backfield. He was like that in Carolina. He can do both equally well. That's the thing about him. He can do a lot of things. Him, Debo, Kamara, all those guys can do a lot of things equally well. They can run routes like wideouts. They have great hands, and they can run the football.
Coach Bowles, and looking at 2 rookies in particular with Rashad and Cade, how pleased are you with their progress and also just the way they've been able to help your team when the pressure's been the highest?
Just the way they come in and prepare and study every week, learning from the older guys, not making the same mistakes twice, allowing us to trust them, and in return, they're producing for us. So I think it's been great, and the growth is just going to continue. So those 2 guys making plays at the end of the game is the same plays they make in practice. So we're used to seeing it, and they just carry it over.
Do you think some of that helps with Tom Brady being the quarterback, knowing that if he's looking at them and having confidence in them, that doubles their confidence in some way?
I'm sure a little bit is Tom, but it's also Mike and Chris and Lenny and the offensive line that's been here for a while. It's the veterans, and you don't want to let nobody down when you go in there. So they're trying to carry their own weight, and they're doing a good job at it.
Todd, no new injuries from Monday's game to speak of in terms
No.
of guys being injured?
No.
Good.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Thank you, Todd.